Well, welcome everyone. This is the Lightning Talks part of the Sakai Virtual Conference 2017. I really like this particular session because it gives people a chance to tell us a little bit about what they're doing in a short format, and they don't have to talk at length, but it gives you a little bit of time to interact and ask questions. So I'm going to encourage you, if you have questions for our presenters, go ahead and type them in the chat, or if you like, turn on your microphone and you can actually speak. We'll manage. We'll make this work. We have 2 presenters today, but 3 presentations. Antonio is going to actually be doing 2, so we thought that we would let Antonio go first so that he could have a little bit of a break between his first session and his second session. Without further ado, I think we'll just get right into this and encourage people to ask questions and so forth as we go. But Antonio Carrasco is a university professor in the Department of Management and Finance at the University of Murcia. Murcia has been a long-time supporter of the Sakai community, and Antonio is going to be presenting the first of his 2 topics today, followed by Louisa, and then we'll come back to Antonio. So Antonio, I am going to see if I can stop sharing and let you pick it up and see how this works here.
Okay. I think that's it's fine. Appear the presentation?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Click share screen.
Oops. I don't know what happened. Okay, I think now must appear.
Yes, now it's coming.
Oh.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
Yep,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
To present the following paper titled Self-Evaluation as a Learning Improvement Mechanism and Application Through Sakai, carried out in collaboration with other 2 professors from the University of Murcia, Gregorio Sánchez Marín and Encarnación Lucas Pérez. The focus of this work is the self-evaluation process. In a subject, usually the teacher and the control of the result should not be the only existing element in the learning process. It needs an active participation of students in the evaluation process and in the development of their competence such as autonomy, responsibility, flexibility, communication, or the use of information and communication technologies to improve learning process. And self-evaluation tools offer an indicator of learning outcomes for the student and a mechanism to develop and improve competences. To get that, the teacher must rely on self-assessment and on the student ability to evaluate and learn. And the student become aware of their learning and the result achieved with direction. Teacher becomes facilitator, guides of the teaching and learning process. The self-assessment can be implemented in 2 ways, in Sakai way and in classical way. Classical way is in the classroom with pen, paper and pencil, time constraint, less response capacity and time to explain, menor time to explain the results, less feedback. And in Sakai way, self-assessment can be solved by the student anyway, anywhere, from asynchronous interaction, using group collaboration, and in a cheaper way. Some previous studies in self-evaluation have proved that active participation through virtual platforms and the efforts made by the student to use this tool intensively has positive consequence on academic results, on the level of absenteeism, and about the student satisfaction. So we are going to check 3 hypotheses. The self-assessment has a positive effect on the student learning outcomes. Second, the self-assessment has a positive effect on the success and the performance rates of the subject. And third, the student satisfaction increased with the use of self-assessment in the subject. To check this hypothesis, we have used a sample of 300 four students from 18 to 20 years, from the grades of labor, relation, and human resource, from 3 subjects: management, work, organization, and human resource management. We have used a scale to measure student satisfaction with 5 items. To measure learning result and self-assessment result, we have used the rating tool of Sakai. Self-assessment participation that we have measured of self-assessment tests performed between number of self-assessment tests in the subjects, and then 2 rates: performance rate measured as a student passed the subject between a student enrolled, and success rate measured as a student passed the subject between a student presented in the subject in the convocatory of June. From the C subject, we are going to present only the result of work organization subject, where there are 8 self-evaluation tests formed in Sakai and 2 self-evaluation tests formed in classroom and 1 final absence. Here we have present easy correlation between the average grades of self-evaluation tests and final absence grades. And we have see that there are a big correlations, bigger in the Sakai environment than in the classroom. This has been proved in all the 3 subjects and in several groups of students. And also we have found that the best final score of those students who have made the most self-assessment tests are better than the students that only have made the minority. And also the best final score of the students that have approved the assessment test is best than the student that had suspend the assessment test in the subject. So we can accept the first hypothesis. Then relate to the rates I have told earlier. I present how many students are in the 3 subjects, and how many students have completed the final exam, and how many students have passed the exam. And if you can see here, the global for the 3 subjects appear the performance rate and the subject rate, and then we have separate between the student that have participated in the self-assessment test in class or not, and the student that has participated in the self-assessment test in Sakai environment. And if you see, the rates are bigger in the student that has participated in assessment test. Also, it's bigger in the Sakai environment than in the class room environment. So we have accepted the hypothesis too. And last, relate to satisfaction. We have measured the correlation between the average grade of self-assessment test and the student satisfaction, and appear an important correlation between these 2 variables, and is bigger in the Sakai environment than in the classroom environment. So we can support the hypothesis 3 that the student satisfaction increase with the use of self-assessment in the subject. So as main conclusion, we can say that there is a positive correlation between learning outcomes, student satisfaction, and the use of self-assessment. The objectives of self-assessment are best achieved with the virtual modality of Sakai. There are more limitations of self-assessment activity in the classroom with pencil and paper and during the class time. The academic performance of the subject improved with the implementation of self-assessment systems, both in the performance rates and in the success rates. And last, the student satisfaction increased with the implementation of the self-assessment. And as practical recommendation, we can recommend the implementation of the self-evaluation tool if it's needed, using Sakai in the university subject. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Very good.
If you have any question, any suggestion.
Yeah, so folks, please feel free to chime in. Antonio, I'll throw out a few. First of all, let me make sure that I'm clear on this. I'm impressed with the rigor of this study, but this study doesn't require Sakai so much as it is really a study of self-assessment. Is that a correct statement?
Sorry.
It's not so much this is about studying Sakai as it is using self-assessment as a way for students to understand how well they're doing. It could be done with a different platform, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, we have used only this proof with Sakai platform.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I know you use Sakai, but if we were talking to a group of Blackboard users, this would still show that using self-assessment is a good thing in a virtual environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Questions from other people?
What does it look like? Do you have screenshots of the self-evaluation tool?
Yeah, I was good question. Lisa.
Yeah. Antonio, do you have screenshots of the self-evaluation tool? What it looks like? Is it like similar to tests and quizzes, or how does it work?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Right. So can you demonstrate how exactly the tool works in Sakai? So I'm just wondering what it looks like, the interface, the functionality.
Okay, I can demonstrate.
Yeah, good. You may have to put it on a different screen, Antonio.
Oh. Did you see the?
We're still seeing your slides.
So maybe you exit out of the PowerPoint. I think that should do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to. Okay. I'm going to put the. This is.
There. That's it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Well, we have used the part of exams.
Yes.
Here you can configure the different tests for the subject that the student can realize in the subject. And we have configured.
Yep, I see it. It's coming, right?
If you want to go, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so
it's configured several proof that they can do at home, at the university when they want. They have time to do it. And they do during the subject. And then there are two self-evaluation tests in classroom. And all the qualification are taken from the qualification tool. When we have all the elements of the qualification of the
Okay.
of the subject. Yeah.
So you are essentially using what we call the tests and quizzes tool,
Yeah.
and then you're gathering the results in the gradebook.
And then they have here all the material they need to the subject.
Yep. Excellent. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in the interest of time, because it is lightning talks, Antonio, I'll let you rest a bit because we'll come back to you in just a little bit. Let's see now. I need to get back to sharing. Okay, there we go. And now let's see if I can share mine again. Yep. Okay. So now we're going to go over to Louisa Lee and Marist College. It occurs to me, folks, that the Marian tradition is doing all the heavy lifting here. Both colleges are Marian tradition, right? But Louisa Lee is the instructional designer in digital education at Marist College. Her work focuses on faculty development, training, technical support, course design, and research on innovative education technologies. She has over, 10 years of experience in higher education, and I can say this, she is a very active member of the Teaching and Learning Group, and she served as the chair of the Apereo Teaching and Learning Awards since the fall of 2015. So, Louisa, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let you take it from here.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Okay.
Yep, there we go. That's it.
Okay, so this is our iLearn, but let me bring up my PowerPoint here. Okay, so you guys see that?
Yep, we do.
Okay, perfect. So I just see a typo right there.
You always see those, of course, when you...
Of course, I see it now, right? Okay, so my lightning talk is about the student pages. So I just get right into it. It's a new feature, relatively new feature in the lessons tool. So a lot of people ask me, what does it do? So I made this table to tell people what it is and what it is not.
Yeah.
All right. So it is an interactive feature in lessons. It allows students input, contribution, or in other words, student-generated content in lessons. So it can allow individual contribution and also group contribution. It also has a rubrics rubrics feature in there. Student can grade the students' activities that way. And the instructor can also use a grading feature to send the grades to the gradebook. It's kind of convenient. And if you want, you can also add a comments at the bottom of the page so everybody can provide instant feedback there. But what it is not Wiki, it's not a Google Doc. Most people, when they think, oh, student collaborate, immediately think of Google Docs and Wikis, but they are not. All right. First of all, it doesn't record the history. So when you update your page, you only see the new improved version of it. Anything old will be gone. Right? It doesn't have a history. And also it doesn't have tracking. So if it's a group activity, you don't know who did what. And you cannot get back and saying so and so has contributed so much, but so and so hadn't done anything. You don't know that. If it's a group contribution, you're only for that group. So I have some screenshots to show you. I'm going to demonstrate in our live site in a second, but this is just give you a teaser here. So if you have an individual page, this is what you get. You will see a list of people who already created content. You can see all this name here. But those people who haven't done anything will also be listed. So this is instructor's interface. Students don't see the missing pages. All right. And then if you look under the settings, this is where the instructor can add grading items and put a point value in there. It goes to the gradebook. And then you can manipulate the visibility here. So for example, you don't want the student to look at each other's before they actually post their own content. So you check this button, student only see their own page, right? So when the time comes and for the big review, you come back, manually check off this button, everybody see each other's work. So it's a nice feature. Now let's talk about groups. So this is also a screenshot of the groups. So you can see actually there are three student page content. So team 1, 2, and 3. All right. So each individual pages need to be set up individually. So you can see that team 2 already created their page, right? But team 1 and team 3 hasn't done anything. So to improve on the settings, I give you another screenshot here. So team 1, I added this greeting item here. So it needs to get 50, right? But if the student hasn't done anything, it's very possible, right? So maybe by the end of the class, they still don't do anything. And if you click this button, they will automatically get a 0 for this page, right? And then to set up the groups, it's this feature called student pages will be associated with groups rather than individuals. If you check this box and then check team 1, this page belongs to team 1. So nobody else can come in here and edit anything. Only team 1 has editing privilege on this page. So, and if you look here, and I also check this box, so each team only sees their own page, so they can work there independently. And also, you can also check this box for require this item, so that they would get a little asterisk reminder there. They need to complete this. All right. So very quickly, here is the screenshot of the rubric. And if you check this box, add a peer review rubric to each page. And you can pick a sample peer review rubric, or you can create your own. So this is the sample rubric here. You can see these are 4 generic categories, usually applicable to many different types of content. You can use the X or add a new one to modify this rubric. Okay, sorry, I have to turn on my light by waving my hands. So,
Louisa,
okay.
while you're doing that, there's a question from Katie that might be
Sure.
it might be good to ask right here. She said, does it provide rubric evaluation options for students, or can instructors also use them to provide feedback?
Yes, it's for both.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, it's for both. So student can also self-evaluate if you check this box. You can see here, allow self-grade. And the student can use it to evaluate themselves. So the results will be aggregated under each cells. Okay, so for example, you can see quality of work. It's a scale from 4 to 0, right? Then the student will be look at here. Okay, 4 people give me 4. So here will be a number 4 here. Okay, then 3 people rating my supporting information as 3. So there will be a 3 here. So what you see is not point value, is an aggregated number. So it doesn't really point to a specific score. It's a scale and how people evaluate you. So this cannot be entered into the gradebook. But the instructor can use this as a foundation to give a final point value for this activity. Yeah, this is basically how the rubrics works in the student pages.
Very good.
All right, so there are some issues. We can come back to this in the last minute. All right, so if you don't have any quick questions, I'm going to show you what the interface looks like. Oops, showed you showed you my calendar. Yes, accidentally. Okay, so you guys see my island pages? Okay, very good.
Yep.
All right, so right here you can see that I already created a student pages, and it is an individual page because you can see all the students are listed here, right? Now to modify, you click on this edit button. All right, so this window will show up. It's a little bit long, but if you just read very carefully, see which one you want. Usually you don't want to make this anonymous, right? So you want to make it gradable and it goes to the gradebook. For example, this one get 10 points. I'm going to show you in a second what it looks like in the gradebook. Then you can add a comment. This comment feature has a little bit weird thing here. So, but I'm going to add this so you can see why it looks weird. Okay. Gradiness comments, also this one give 5 points. And then I can add a peer review and also use the sample evaluation. Okay. And then it's not a group, so within a group evaluate each other. So you can see if you use this, student will be able to use the rubrics to peer review each other. Okay, pick this and done. So update. Okay. All right. Okay, so the settings are improved. You can see this thing showed up because if student doesn't do anything, they will automatically get a 0. And on the panel here, you can see this is a grading pen shows up. So if you click here, and you can see there's nothing to grade here because there's no content. All right. So I'm gonna go add something so that we can have some content. So if we go to the student plus 1, and you can see right now there's nothing. But as soon as you add some content, so test page. Okay, when you add something and you can see this comment box shows up, right? And then this peer evaluation rubric shows up. So you click on it and you can see this grade. It's a clippable window and you can pick what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you submit. Done. Okay, so then that person will come back. The student plus 01 will be able to come back and look at the peer reviews. Okay, so as an instructor, you come in and you'll be able to add a point value here. So for example, student plus 01. Well, thanks for the efforts. You get a 5 because there's not really too much content to it. Then you can submit, and this is submit goes to the gradebook, right? Mm-hmm. Submit. Now, if we go back and let's look at the grading pen again. So look at this grading pen. And you can see there's still nothing because this grading pen is for the comments. It's not for grading the page, all right? So I have to add some comments. So if I go back to here and then add a comment. So obviously, thanks for the efforts. Okay, all right, so this is my comment and I can immediately give a point value for this. So, and then, okay, so it's got it there. This is another way to enter the points is going to here and enter the point value here, right? 4. Okay. Okay. All right, so you can update the points and it's saved. All right.
And Louisa, we're getting close on time, so I'm going to hurry you along a little bit.
Got it. Okay, so the problem with this is that the comment tool in this lessons is not registered under the reorder. So if I click reorder, you can see there's no comments. So if the student make a mistake, the comment was pushed up to the top. For example, if I add anything here, and it will go under the comments, and if you want to reorder the page, nothing happens. So that's a bigger problem. Now, the bigger problem here is that when the student try to share anything, and they try to upload a picture, they upload any documents, usually it goes to their resources folder, but that folder is called a step 4. I wonder if you guys ever work on that. And this is a public within the course. So the setting definitely works. It just the organization is very tricky. So the folder is called Staff 4, and then stuff under the Staff 4 are not titled by the course title. So you don't know which folder belongs to which course. So that's a little bit chaotic. And also from the student, from the faculty's point of view, they cannot manually override a 0. So you could only automatically assign 0 to everybody who doesn't have a page. But if some student has to be excused, right, you cannot do any override there. So it's really hard. Sometimes the grouping affects the grading, and it can be difficult. A couple of reasons there.
Louisa, do you know if there are JIRAs on this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So because I pretty much created 5 tickets on student pages. Okay. Because I haven't seen a lot of uses of student pages in the community. Most people are working on the overall structure, navigation, lots of individual features, but interactive features, I haven't seen a lot of use. That's why I wanted to give this lightning talk and see.
Maybe it'll start today.
Yeah, maybe if I start today and find people who are interested, and we can share examples, best practices, and create tickets.
Very good.
That's it.
Okay. I'm going to be the taskmaster and say that in the interest of making sure that Antonio has his time for his second presentation, I will say, there you go. Thank you. And we give you that back. All right, Antonio. So this last talk, folks, is Antonio again. We tried to sequence these in a way that sort of made sense, but this is now application of the content to a real situation in operations management. So, Antonio, I'm going to stop sharing, let you take over the screen again.
Thank you.
And take it away.
Oh, this one.
There we go. It's coming.
Okay. Well, this presentation has tried.
Hang on a second, Antonio. It started screen sharing, but we're still seeing a black screen. Is anybody else seeing it? Maybe it's a different screen.
It's a starting.
Yeah.
No appear.
Hasn't appeared yet. No. It says it started, but it hasn't got there yet. Yeah, there you go. Try again.
No?
There we go. Now we got it. Okay,
yeah,
good.
Okay. This presentation is similar to the presentation earlier. We have tried to evaluate the collaboration learning in Sakai, application of the content learning in case of real companies, where this had been possible thanks to the implementation of Sakai in the university, because Sakai gives us new opportunities for learning, offer new information resource to a student, new interaction between a student, teacher, and materials, and a platform in which to make case studies or other activities and get feedback on their solution. Learning strategies with Sakai allow to make more individualized and student-centered learning, competency-based and non-memoristic learning. And it has been proved that students learn better when they have autonomy and control the pace of learning. With the collaborative learning tool, we have used a didactic technique that promotes student-centered learning by passing work in small groups. Each member of group is responsible not only for their learning, but also for helping their classmates to learn. A student work on a task until group members have successfully completed. Our objective with this work is measured how is the learning outcome of the student influenced by the methodology of collaborative learning. This project had been realized by 7 teachers. One teacher assumed the coordinator role in this project, and all the functions will be carried equally by all members of the group. And the work plan to follow in this project had been that first, the coordination will meet with all members of the group of teachers. After the task had been assigned to perform by teacher, another meeting to explore together the activity and material developed will be held. And third, teacher explain in other phase their respective group of students the methodology to be used in class and handed them an SLU of tasks to be performed. They also resolve the doubts of, if any, and gather the view of a student about it. Material to prepare cases are available for a student in Sakai. Students are divided into working groups. Working groups are responsible for developing a practical case study and a suitable solution. In class, the teacher asks which group has to solve and display cases. After exposure, the group proposed the case should discuss with the rest of the groups the solution proposed, if that is most suitable or not, always with the moderation and teacher assistant approach. And in the forum of Sakai, they can reach the most appropriate solution from the contribution of all groups and teachers. The objective has been that this activity be evaluated by the different groups and analyze the deviation observed between the different evaluations. All groups send their mark of other group to the teacher, and all the marks are published in the grade book. In addition, it was shown that the member within the group could be self-evaluated in order to identify opportunistic behavior of a student who did not actively participate and benefit from the group's overall grades. The final grade of each student in this subject was obtained from the teacher notes. The rest of the students in the classroom are the weighting performed on the level of effort of the peer evaluation. This methodology will be applied in the course of practical classes of the subject, and at the end of the last year, after completing the classes, each teacher of the project will collect and analyze data and results from their respective group. A final meeting of the teacher of the project for sharing results, evaluation, and weakness, and possible future improvement in the application of this methodology. And there will be a final report on the project and the degree of compliance with this objective. The study has been carried out during the last year in the degree in Business Administration and Management in the subject of Operation Management. At the end of the project, the student responds a satisfaction survey on the methodology of collaborative learning. The most valued aspect are the cases are analyzed are more real and close to the business world. Improvement in our domain of ICT. The better you do your homework, each member of the group, the working group obtain better results. In this class, students have a chance to get good results if they propose, increase the interaction with the group. The interaction with the group is prepared to perform the task, and the member of the group have skills and abilities that complement each other. Respect to evaluation process, the idea of involve the student in the evaluation process increase student motivation, the sense of fairness in the evaluation, the level of satisfaction of the teacher with the subjects, the outcome of the process learning are more clear and objective for the student. The mark assigned by the teacher usually is higher than the mark assigned by the rest of the student. There is observed a high correlation between both marks. There are not large deviation between the score of a student and teacher. The student also have the critical ability to objectively assess the work of other groups. Most groups did not report difference between member performance within a group of students, and students appreciate participating in the evaluation and were more active in the exhibition of their peers. And our finding also showed that the objectives of the evaluation are best achieved with the use of Sakai. As a final practical recommendation, we can say that the implementation of collaborative learning and Sakai in the university subject is positive.
Very good.
We did finish my presentation.
Yeah. This is, I want to ask so many more questions, and I'm looking at the clock. Time. So Linda says, Antonio, how are the students working together on the collaborative document? What tool did they use?
Yes, they have the materials in Sakai, in resource, and then with this material, they take a field that they proposed, and they make a case, and they solve the case, and then they send the case to the teacher, and the teacher puts all the case in the Sakai, available to all the groups. And then in practical places, 2 groups present these cases, and the rest of the students make question about the resolution, and think about if this solution is good, is bad, if it can be improved or not.
Yeah, excellent.
At the end, they make a rubric and they put a grade. And this grade is sent to the teacher, and then the teacher put all the grades in the grade book.
This is fascinating, and yeah. I want to make a request, Antonio. Next year, you need to take this one and sort of give us so here's how we did it step by step. You know,
okay. Okay.
But folks, I am afraid, Antonio, I'll have to take the screen back from you. I'm afraid that we're out of time. There are so many fascinating things going on here that I would love to talk more about, but we'll basically have to say that that's it for the lightning talks. And I appreciate everybody being a part of this. You've been a great audience. But if you have more questions for our presenters, be sure and get in touch with them. There are discussion forums within Sakai. You can actually ask questions within the discussion forum and be a part of this too. So I'm going to end this session because we are out of time, as I say, and it's time to go to the next one. But thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you so much. See you around.
If anybody needs more information, at the end of the presentation appear my email. I can send all the information you need.